Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for part 2 of the Monday Q&A. Now this first question here, a little different, but it does relate to something I've said before. It's funny how things go on the internet, and a lot of my friends and family, they really laugh at things people say on the internet because people they have no clue what my life is really like or what I'm like in my social circles, and it's pretty funny. We all get a good laugh out of it. But the person who asked this question is on my private Facebook. He's even friends with my sister on there, other people, so they have a pretty good idea of at least a little bit of what my life is like. So let's jump into the question. You often say lifting weights to meet girls is a misallocation of resources. Yes, it is. What, in your opinion, would be a better way to attract more women? All right, I'm really not trying to attract women right now because I'm kind of seeing someone a bit. I've actually been turning women away, which goes back to the strategy that I recommend to people, and that is the biggest thing you can do if you're trying to get girls. You're out there trying to get laid. Stop trying to get laid. Stop trying to chase women. And beyond that, just focus on being confident. If you're out actually seeking women, you're going to reek of desperation, and if that's what you're thinking about, you're going to struggle to get them. Be fun, be funny, whatever everyone else is doing, just enjoy it, jump in it, converse with people, joke about things. But if you think a woman is hot, just tell her, hey, I think you are a beautiful woman, and I just wanted to let you know that. But leave it at that. Don't chase her any further than that. If they're interested in you, they'll let you know. But what you need to do is get as many female friends as you can. That's something I've always done my whole life. I generally have more female friends than I have men. I don't take guys to parties. If I do, it's maybe one bro that I'll go out with somewhere. I might go bar hopping with one dude, but I'm not going to go somewhere with a car full of dudes. I am the typical, what the misc would call a white knight faggot. I pick up girls, all my female friends, or even the ones that are married, have boyfriends or whatever. I'll pick them up and make sure they get home safe, take care of them. And the whole point with all of that is making sure that women are comfortable around you. They know that they're safe with you. You show over time that they're safe with you. And then you always have female friends around here and there who are always showing that they feel safe and comfortable around you. Women like that because they know that you're not going to try to drunk rape them or slip them a roofie. They know that you're not going to take advantage of anything, that you're just going to be chill, have fun, you're out having a good time. And as long as you are fun to be around, women feel safe around you and you're confident, you'd be surprised how many girls will just throw themselves at you. It doesn't take anything more than that. You shouldn't have to work for it. You'd be surprised if you just do those things. I mean, you'll get girls. I mean, you may not have tons and tons of them, but those little things will just have girls kind of toss themselves at you. I'm just out to have a good time. And remember, just be funny, have a good time. When you drink with people, don't become a sloppy drunk. If you're going to do drugs, make sure that you do drugs that you're comfortable with, that you know that you're not going to get aggressive with. Don't take tons of guys out with you. Don't do all the stupid hyper-masculine bro shit of, you know, the bumping chest and wanting to arm wrestle and fight and stupid shit that puts girls off. I know a lot of guys think that stuff is alpha, but it's really not. Just be fun, be confident, have a good time. All right, next question. You suggest using a really low incline for incline dumbbell pressing, but my bench doesn't go lower than 45 degrees. I know it's suboptimal. Is it good enough? No, that's not good enough. You need to go under 45 degrees, but what you can do if the incline bench, because some incline benches don't, a lot do, find one that does in your gym. And if you can't, then just stack blocks under it. Stack some plates under the backside to raise it up a little bit. Do so safely. Make sure you're doing it in a safe, secure fashion, and do it that way. Pretty straightforward to create a 20 to 30 degree angle without needing to use a proper incline bench if you don't have one that'll go. But I mean, if you don't have one that works properly, you can't do that. You don't necessarily have to have the incline bench. It's not an essential exercise. It's just a useful exercise. All right, next question. Rehab exercises for low back pain recovery. Is every form of squat out the window? Trying to prep for my first meet in October, but apparently squatting irritates my spine even when going light and with textbook form after burning out on deads in the last weeks. Sumos still feel fine now, but what to do about squats? All right, if you're having a lot of issues with low back pain, you might not be able to do this meet. You need to be realistic here. If you can't squat without pain and you got a meet coming up, it might be time to rehab and back out and do a different meet. You pushed yourself too hard. You pushed your lower back too hard, too far out. Now, as far as squats that you can do with lower back pain, try doing belted squats. There's even machine belted squats. There's the ways you can put weights on a belt, like a dipping belt around your waist, and stand up on things like jerk blocks and things, or various boxes to where you can do squats, and those weights can come down and you can do squats with just your belt so that there's no weight on your lower back, and that will be better than nothing while you're rehabbing your lower back. But again, with the meet coming up, you might have to bail out of your meet or chill, back off, rehab your back, and then try to peak again at the last minute and hope it's okay. Might be your only options there. All right, next question. I've been recently placed on TRT dosed at 200 milligrams a week. What are your thoughts on this protocol? Been watching since the early ICF days. Keep up the good work. There aren't many doctors who are going to give you 200 milligrams a week. That's not really TRT. You're going to be outside of the normal physiological range there. Now, some doctors will do that, but it does carry with it risk. If you're on 200 milligrams a week year-round, make sure that your doctor is keeping up closely with all of your blood work. Make sure they're watching your hematocrit levels. Make sure they're watching your blood pressure, because, again, that's fairly aggressive for TRT. And to do that safely, you really need to make sure that your doctor is on top of that stuff and that you're not skipping checkups and you're not skipping blood work, because, again, there can be some repercussions to that if run for extended periods of time, for years on end. So just be aware of that and make sure that your doctor is doing the blood work that you need for your own health and safety. Don't play around with that. All right, next question. Jason, I get horrific sternum pain doing dips. I have stopped doing them, of course, and occasionally I get it again from benching, even if it's paused. I bench 3 times a week, and I don't have any problems with flat incline dumbbell bench. What do? Well, you're getting the sternum pain when you're doing the bench on the pause because it's still hurt from the dips. It's like I say all the time on dips. If you get sternum pain from doing dips, you need to stop doing dips. You're one of those people who is going to be very prone to injury on this exercise. I'm going to recommend that you back off and find something else. There's plenty of other pressing exercises that will give you the similar benefits to dips. You can do more closed grip benching and other things. You don't have to do dips. And if they're causing sternum pain, toss that exercise aside. It's not working for you. It's not worth the risk at that point. Try it again in another year when everything is strengthened up and see if it's okay again. All right, next question. When you train legs one day and chest the next day, does your body focus on the bigger muscle group and neglect the smaller ones? No, not really. It doesn't work that way. Your body is going to focus on whatever amount of stimulation you've given a muscle group, however long it needs to recover, and if you're getting nutrition and recovery and everything that it needs to make the adaptations that it needs to make as a result of your training. It's not going to work that, oh, since you trained your legs, your chest isn't going to grow as much from the stimulation. The only time that might be an issue is if you're not eating enough calories, but in that case, it's because your nutritional needs might not be met, and so you're not gaining enough muscle overall from everything. But it might not even be your chest that gets lagged the most. It might be the bigger muscle group like the legs that isn't getting enough out of it, just due to poor nutrition. So there can be nutritional ends, but as long as everything is sufficient, no, your body will adapt based upon the training stimulus that you give it once it recovers from it sufficiently and makes all the adaptation. It doesn't really work that way. I wouldn't worry about it like that. All right, next question. Do you find that you feel better in any way when you were a vegan? Vegans always report higher energy levels, etc. No, I really didn't. And that's what I try to tell people when I was doing the vegan thing. I didn't feel different on it. My only issue is that I really struggled with appetite. A lot of people say, oh, that's not true. I don't have those issues and I didn't gain weight. Well, guys, I had no trouble gaining weight while lifting 6 days a week and doing cardio every day. If I ate till I was full following a whole food vegan diet, I would gain weight because I would end up eating 5,000 calories. And I would gain weight from it. So for me, it was an appetite issue, and it's partially, I think, because I crave meat and things so much, and always have, that for me, I was just hungrier all the time, and my appetite's actually a lot better on what I'm eating these days. So this is personal things, and these things vary from person to person. I'm not going to knock what anyone else does and how they feel based upon a diet. I just know that for me, appetite was a real issue. My training was great on it, but I didn't feel any different or better, but I did get hungrier, and I felt like I was missing something all the time. So that's my experience with that. All right, next question, and last question of the week. Why are training splits aimed for enhanced lifters and not for natties? Wouldn't it make more sense to run a full body program every day if you're able to recover from it? Well, maybe from a neuromuscular efficiency or motor pattern learning, yes, it would be. So for a lot of enhanced strength athletes, including the Bulgarians back in the day, yeah, they would squat 3 times a day, 6 days a week for 18 squat sessions on drugs. However, when you're talking hypertrophy purposes, as drugs go up, the length of increased muscle protein synthesis goes up as a result of training. So normally when you are not using any drugs and you train and have a really effective hypertrophy session, within 40 to 48 hours after training, your muscle protein synthesis returns to baseline and you stop growing in those muscle groups as a result of the training. You've stimulated, you've adapted, you've grown all you're going to. So if you're waiting really long periods of time, like a week in between, you might only be gaining half the muscle that you could have gained per week because you just have less growth time. You might be gaining a third of what you gained, but it's probably closer to half. You're still going to be making really, really good gains, just not as good a gains as you could have made. So that's the issue you have there. However, when drugs come into the mix, because people recover and they can train harder, they can adapt to higher workloads because they can grow more as a result of the training stimulus, they can get away with these really high volumes and then not train those muscle groups again for a while because the drugs themselves will then extend, because they improve muscle protein synthesis in general, they'll go ahead and extend that muscle protein synthesis out from that really brutal high volume session and end up making really good gains off of it. And those gains might continue coming. Instead of 2 days, they might come for 4 days, 5 days, 6 days. And then by the time they stop coming from that, they might jump in and do some more training as they're tapering off over the week because they're still making gains. They might be less pronounced, in a wave, but they're still making gains. And so they can get away with longer periods of time. It's not even about ideal. It's just the fact that you have more flexibility in your training protocols when drugs come into the mix. It gives you a much larger margin from error to still make good gains as long as the workloads are sufficient. And that's really what it comes down to. I mean, so yeah, sure, you could recover faster, but you might not gain any more muscle, just better motor patterns from doing really high frequency on a lot of drugs versus lower frequency and just ramping that volume way up or the intensity way up and just growing for days and days on end from a single session. It gives you that type of flexibility, and so that's one reason that it's become really, really popular among high-dose drug users. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time. But let me give you guys a bicep shot before I go. Oh, Mount Biceps.